Hi everyone and welcome back to the Future Skills podcast. Our guest today is James Naughton from OVO Energy. I first met James at British Gas and I was really keen to invite him to the podcast to talk about his journey from electrical installations to smart metering and life at OVO Energy. James, welcome to the Future Skills podcast.
Thanks for inviting me, Dan. Glad to be here.
Good stuff. So we're in Series 1 at the moment, and Series 1 is all about inspiration. So we've named it Be Inspired. And to kick off the episode, really keen to learn about how you got involved in the electrical industry.
Well, it's a little bit by chance and a bit of luck, I suppose. As we all do when we leave school, we don't know what we're going to do, and we try a number of different jobs and end up helping a guy out doing some electrical work, and just as a general body there, just to clean up and sweep up and look after him. But what seemed to happen is I had a bit of a flair for it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the work. It was tough back then. We were under floors and we were up in cupboards and lofts and all kinds of things. So it was good because it got me out of the house. It got me a few pounds in my pocket, and it's something I really enjoyed. I didn't think I was going to do it long term, but the guy I was working with pushed me, said you need to look at getting a qualification. So, at first we tried the apprentice route. We went on to the apprentice route, and it was difficult really because he was a one-man band as such. Yeah. It was difficult for him to get that apprentice start up. So to be fair, he put me with a different company. I was a late apprentice as well, so it wasn't a 16-year-old. I was pushing 20 years old at the time, which probably is young nowadays because obviously we've got apprentices our apprentices start at 50 years old. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's different then. But that was late for an apprentice back then, and so I got into college and I started going to college, and I just love college because you kind of learn all them kind of bad habits when you're out in the field. Actually, you get into college and actually realise how it should be done. And everyone's got a knack and a twist to it, but it's really important for me to understand that when I was at college, this was how you had to do it, and this is the foundation of it. So I really enjoyed my time at college, just to go one day a week. And I continued that, and I really got a taste for it as I got my apprenticeship through. I then moved on to, getting me 2391 at the time, and it was 16th edition at the time, to become qualified as an electrician. But, I still found it difficult, because I was a newly skilled, and we start at the bottom of the tree as that. But, you suddenly realise that by going through that training that you felt almost a bit better than the guys who hadn't, if you know what I mean. So it really gives you that foundation of sort of understanding and really sort of understanding the electrical world. And after that, I think through life we have a lot of chances we go through. So I kind of left that because it was only house bashing and I wasn't getting a varied experience. And I wanted to understand what the full electrical industry was about, from domestic to commercial to transmission, in cables and pylons. So I was interested in it all. So I then moved on to I worked sort of in sort of retail outlets. So I worked in shop fits. I did some pack testing. I worked in kind of a couple of different companies doing a variance of kind of work. Got into a little bit industrial, and then flipped back onto building sites. And part of the building site work, which I kind of loved, it was hard going. It was good graft. You had a good lot of trades around you, so you kind of pick up learn a few of their skills as well. But as part of that, it got me a little bit into the beginning of where electricity comes from, and where that was United Utilities at the time. And they put in a substation, and we tap off to that. We tap our cables off or straight off there to power up the building sites and put in generators and tower cranes and things like that. And it got me thinking about that. And then we moved on to working within metering. So it moved on to, we were doing the metering switch room. So we're doing a lot of the, I suppose what you call B&O work now, where we build the meter rooms and get them ready. So touched a bit back with utilities around metering, but you would constantly, especially at a young age, looking for those opportunities, which once you get a good skill behind you, there is massive amount of opportunities and directions you can go. It's not just, and even I say that to the metering guys, and there isn't just one view here. It isn't just fitting a meter. There's so much around it, and you find that when you get into the trade. After that, I was in electrical wholesalers, and a guy driving a British Gas van pulls up outside, and he comes in, and I said, sorry, gas man, you're next door, you're in a plumb centre, you shouldn't be coming in our shop, kind of thing. So I'm just having a bit of a joke with him, and he said, oh no, I work for the central heating, you got to come and join British Gas. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'll come and have a look at that. And went down, we did an open day, and I got the job at British Gas. What I found was, because I've been a lot of contracting, I've got a lot of diverse skills apart from just wiring. You kind of suddenly understand there's a lot of stuff that people want from you. So when I joined British Gas, because if someone give me a job, I'd go and do it. When you were contracting, you couldn't say no to a job. You had to sit there and work out how to do it right, safe, and correct for the client. You couldn't do it wrong because you wouldn't get paid for it. So it had to be right, and you couldn't say no. You had to find a way. So it kind of instilled that a little bit in me of finding a way. And I think British Gas kind of like that in me, even though I never wanted to progress. I was happy on the tools as such. I probably could quite easily go back there now, but they could see in me that I was looking at finding a way, and I was quite good with dealing with people and customers, because customers, you've got to work with them well, and you've got to make them want to come back. So they threw me up to go and get an interview up at one of the training academies that British Gas had, and my boss sort of said to me, just go for the interview, you'll be okay. In behind all that, I had done some sort of standing manager and some field manager work as well. So I'd only been with the company about a year, maybe 18 months. And I'd done a bit of comment on that. And then I moved and obviously went for this interview at the academy. And I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd get it. I wasn't too sure if it was something I wanted to do. Just my boss said, go and do it. They'll like you, kind of thing. So I went and got the job, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've never trained anyone. You know what I mean? I've never sat sort of in front of a group, and it was quite.
I remember that feeling.
Yeah, and it was frightening. And I remember I had something like 6 weeks to prepare start looking at this course, and it was a course that was already there, but I had to prepare to deliver it. And British Gas were doing what we call domestic installers, so they were bringing in, the person who'd never done any sort of electrical work before, and then we're going to bring them in, we're going to give them the skills in a 12-month training package, and at the end of that, they'll be qualified to a domestic installer. And there's a number of little short packages we did in between, plus field experience throughout the year. So and I remember at first I said to the training coach, Steve at the time, or ended up as head of the academies, but I said to him at the time, I don't know, can we have a small group? And typical as everything, as soon as you put the job advert out there, there's a queue of people down the road wanting to join. So I think I ended up with 12 in the group at the time for the first. And I still remember the first one, yeah. and I still remember I'd done all this research, and bearing in mind when you go to college and learn stuff, you take it in, but you don't know it as well. And things like looking at motors and series and parallel circuits and all these kind of things that you kind of learn in college and you kind of forget about a little bit. I suddenly had to remember to deliver this, and I still remember the time, the first group of the inductions there. I've got these 12 people sat in front of me. I've got my name on the board behind me, and I'm starting. And I clicked the clicker that I had. I bought a special clicker just for it. I clicked the clicker, and my name was there. I'm James, and I'm going to be training you for the next 12 months. But I couldn't say it. I couldn't read the words. The words just wouldn't come out. I was just absolutely frozen. And then I managed to bumble the words out. I felt like a year. It was probably a couple of seconds, and I managed to bumble out. And then I absolutely loved it. What loved about training for me, and why I've got that passion for the training centres and understand it, is you're able to provide people with the knowledge that's inside your head into their head, so they have got a career for their lives. They've got a skill that they're able to take away, whether they continue in this industry or take it somewhere else. You're inputting that skill into them, and it's an amazing feeling that you're helping that person out in a way. You know, I'm not saying we're godlike by any means, but
yeah,
you know, it is that.
I agree. I always remember, James, you said to me, I don't know if you remember this, I was just going off in the British Gas days, I was just going off to get married. And I came for a last minute interview with yourself in Leeds. And you said to me, and it's always stuck me, and I've told people here the same thing. You said to me, you become a bit famous when you become a trainer. People remember you because they remember what you gave to them. Do you still stand by that?
100%. And I still remember, and I remember I was on a train into Manchester, and I saw my tutor on the train that had trained me probably 10 or 15 years before, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And you know, obviously I did well out of you, and he didn't remember me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, to be fair, I obviously didn't strike that big a chord with him, but you've got to think
so many people.
They're seeing thousands of people as we do. Yeah. You know, and it is interesting. And to be fair, you know, many times I've been stopped in town or in Leeds as well, you know, by engineers that I've either trained or I've worked with that have hugged me, shook my hands, and I'm like, I can't remember who you are, mate, you know. So it does happen, and it does, but it is that good sense of feeling. It does give you that kind of inside light as such that you'll be able to help them out. And we'll all remember our teachers when we were kids in school. You know, we could all probably name quite a few of the good ones and the ones that you were fearful of as well. So hopefully I wasn't the fearful side.
Everyone had a favourite, didn't they? And I think
they did.
It's similar for me sometimes in Wakefield. We get people that, you know, used to train at British Gas, or they're familiar with one of our other tutors here. And I think it just leaves that sort of effect on them because you've given them new skills. But if you think back to our days at British Gas, can you believe, I mean, when we were there, it must be 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, how many apprentices were going through at the time on the smart metering programme? And there's still such a demand for smart metering apprentices and smart metering resource across the country with multiple providers. Can you believe we're still at this stage?
I mean, it was pretty amazing back then because you're talking, we started in British Gas 2009, 2P engineers across and training gas qualified people to electric in the initial. And then I think, was it 2014, 15 for you? I think
2015 it was for me in the academy.
Yeah, so 2015, just it literally the light switched on, you know, and we really wanted to build up the workforce, and that's why I came back into the academy, because I'd experienced of working within smart, because obviously I left training to pick up into smart metering, and then because of my training background, they pulled me into the Leeds Academy to start looking at the influx of training. And even now, I've got a fellow working for me that used to work in the academy on the planner for the centre, to look at the work planner. And even he said to me the other day, he said, I just couldn't believe when you used to look at Leeds, you'd have 2 groups a week starting for the year. Yeah. And it was literally, and sometimes more, you know, and I think we worked out we were taking some like 220 odd apprentices through the door every day, you know, on a course somewhere on the line. Wow. And those 2 groups, I mean, you know, when you think of each, we had 2 groups starting every day, but we had the groups from last week that started, and the groups from the weeks before that, and the weeks before that, and you know, we were looking at 14 per group size as well. So they were quite large group sizes, but it was pretty amazing, and pretty amazing some of the people that come, some of the characters we kind of met over the years, you know, is pretty amazing. The people and the diverse background of people coming through. And, you know, I remember, as you say, is when I was asked to start picking up with the big onslaught of smart people coming through, and I had to look at recruiting extra trainers, which hence where yourself came and Katie, and, you know, and I remember some of the people coming through, I thought, oh, well, can they be trainers? Can they not be trainers? And, you know, like yourself and Katie, you know, I know you call you 2 out, but absolutely blew me away. I mean, you know, of the quality of people that come in that had no training background, that were good engineers, and then suddenly I'm putting them in there to train the new wave of engineers. It was amazing to see people develop in that way, and people want to take the chance of actually inputting their knowledge of the industry into the new people coming into the industry as well. So it was an amazing
There's still
time.
a demand now. It's crazy, isn't it? The demand for the people. Thinking when we left the academy, I think I was in there just short of 2 years, and it looked like that was it for apprentices. But there's still, we're now at the stage where we're starting apprentice groups two a month again. We're getting sort of, just in Wakefield here, about 24 apprentices per month coming through, because sort of exhausted that dual fuel existing pool, if you like, and they need that fresh blood again.
Well, meters still need to be fitted. There's still large amounts of smart meters out there that haven't, normal meters that haven't been upgraded to smart meters, and we're almost coming around the full circle now. After 11 years or so of the original smart meters, they're not doing anything or connecting to the DCC the way they should be, because they used to have SIM cards in them and things like that. So the technology's changed, so we need to upgrade those meters. So there is a massive demand for the smart engineers. And I think as well, a lot of companies are diversified. So, for instance, going into, I'll fit a smart meter, but I'll also fit an EV charge point for the customer, or I might fit a clock for the central heating, so that can be remote central heating, and even us ourselves, we're looking at, what's the next level, ground source heat pumps, all the renewable type energies. And I think there is a massive focus, especially on the electric side. I know us as a company, OVO, we're pushing through that electrification of people's homes and looking at types of electric heating, and that is definitely the way forward. Smart metering is almost a stepping stone. It's almost old school in some ways. It's the foundation, but there's so much more that the industry has got to offer and is developing into. And you're right about, we need more people. We need good people in the industry. In the likes of OVO, we're kind of recruiting in areas, but you look at the apprentices, even in British Gas, I know they've started recruiting again for apprentices. You've got your other companies that are also really starting to invest back. I think some of the engineers have moved on to different things, whether they, I've seen even within OVO, the progression. You've got your engineer that might have started as an apprentice. Speaking the other day, there's two engineers that one's gone up to a regional performance manager, so quite a senior manager, and another one is another two of our head of ops were both smart engineers. The progression route is immense through the management chain.
And that's great to see, isn't it? We've seen that from some of our apprentices who started a couple of years ago, who have gone on to progress to team leaders. And it's something we always tell new groups that start here. I go and see them on the first day, just to say that, I've been through the same journey that you've been on, and I love the dual fuel role. I really liked it in the academy as well, but the dual fuel being out there, if you focus on safety and you're a good engineer, it's an absolutely fantastic job, and it's a great setting stone. And there is progression available. I think in many companies, they do look to progress within. If they've got the right behaviours, the safety mindset, and they're a good person, you can go quite far with it, can't you?
100%. And I can speak for OVO on that. Is we will fundamentally always look to progress from within and move up through the ranks. If we haven't got the talent there, we may look to external, but first and foremost is progression within a team, and development is pretty close to what OVO's ethos is bringing through nurturing, developing, and having a different outlook, and it brings a little bit of loyalty as well of kind of, if you feel you're getting somewhere and you want to go in that direction, you're more likely to stay with the company, and you're more likely to look for better things a company can do and work in a different way. I think it's key development. I've always looked at any of my team. We're fundamentally, we've got a development plan in place. We look at different things, and development doesn't always have to be in the area of progression, i.e. going upwards. Some people just want to go different directions. They're not interested in being a manager. So, you know, we've got guys as technical development coaches they can go into. So there's a coaching area. I've got regional assessed trainers that go out and do some regional training and support some of the training centres. You know, there's loads of little diverse different roles. Yeah, even like projects and change teams that will need that technical. And you'll find a lot of people I work with in different types of roles, whether that's safety, whether it's in policy, you know, that a lot of them have got that kind of smart background or were an engineer of some sort. So, and they've moved in, and I think it's important that they have that mindset as well, because they kind of understand the business. So definitely progression is a big part of the role if that's the direction people want to move in.
What advice would you give to someone who's thinking about getting in the smart meter industry?
What advice? Well, I think for me is talk to people. You know, there's lots of good posts on LinkedIn. You know, there's a lot of, things like that. It's really get involved and really understand. So I think having a good energy, understanding and awareness and a good customer focus is key. And if you feel you're there, and I'm not saying everyone's got to be technical. Don't be afraid if you're not technical. It doesn't mean you're not technical. You may have not just had the opportunity to be technical. So if you've got a passion or something for, might want to try rewiring a plug or something, and you think, yeah, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
If that's the direction you want to go, I think it's an amazing opportunity to be in. And there's this, coming back to why we're recruiting more is because those people have come into the industry, got the skills, and they've moved on, whether into different, so it's definitely, even if it's just a stepping stone into kind of a different industry that they've been in before, but don't be too scared of thinking, oh, well, I've never done anything technical before. If that is something you want to go into, come and talk to, you can always inquire, I'm sure, with the different training providers like yourselves, Universal Skills, talk to other people through chat groups and networks. There's loads of network groups out there that they can talk to and try and get that generated. I do champion it quite a lot, especially with the apprentices. I remember I've been in, coming back from Manchester after going out and you're in there and talking to taxi drivers of kind of, you want to have a look, just check when there's a postcode, just get online and, register your interest in the companies. Because that's the other thing is get online, go to your likes of your OVOs, your British Gases, your Lowry Becks, or your Siemens or your Morrisons. Go into them and see when their apprenticeship program is, see when they're about. Try and talk to people if you know of anyone in those.
There's quite a few available actually at the moment in the north. I think the south will always have requirements, but a lot of our apprentices are in the northern regions who have started over this last couple of weeks and who are due to start. Back to yourself, James, just on thinking about, you had that long period at British Gas. What's been the biggest change for you at OVO? Are they quite different companies? Has it been a big change over the last few years since you joined OVO?
I joined OVO back in 2018 at the end of, I'd worked in British Gas for quite a long few years, or quite a lot of years, and I had a good career there. But I think you come to a point where you're in this big machine, which was British Gas, and you come to this point where you're kind of doing a great job and you're kind of doing the same job, and everything seems okay. I mean, there was an immense amount of change happening, as you've probably seen on the media and things around British Gas and restructures and things, and it gave me the opportunity. I had friends who had moved into OVO and other companies, and I was talking to them, how are you getting on, how are you getting a new role in that, and they're saying, oh, it's just amazing over here, you want to see it, it's a different world. I'm thinking, is it really, kind of thing? But I think sometimes you've got to take that chance and kind of look at what other companies got to offer, and and what you can develop in as well. It's important to look at that. And I joined OVO, and on my first day, I learned how to build a chair out of balloons. And I thought, okay, this is different. This is new, you know what I mean? And I think I got quoted the other day, actually, at the time when I was there, I think the average age in the business was something like 28. Really? And that was your average age. So I was going in there at mid-40s as a bit of a granddad, really. You know what I mean? I was kind of old. Everyone around me was young. Even the person delivering the induction to me, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have served them in a pub. They look that young. You know what I mean? So suddenly going into this kind of world where the youngsters, but I'll be honest, I was amazed how hungry they were, how much energy was about them. It was more of a, I suppose if you had to describe it, it was a bit like a Google company, it was everything new. It was quite techy, there would, if I wanted to, yeah, but the beauty of it was things like, if I had a problem with a laptop, usually I'd have to ring this number and then send them this incident number. And I could just walk into OVO and go up to the tech people and just hand them my laptop and say, can you fix that? And they say, yeah, come back in 10 minutes. And it was very much of that kind of mentality. Let's help each other. Let's get on. Everyone intertwined. What I liked about it was that there was no hierarchical kind of way of thinking. Everyone was in this together as such. We needed to get the job done. So it didn't matter whether you're an engineer or you're the director of the business. Everyone was in the same room having a chat and talking about it, which was good. You know what I mean? There was definitely, that togetherness and that sense of family almost. And everyone just said, when you asked them to do things, they said, yeah, let's get on with it. Let's have a look at it. Let's do that. And that was just a really good feeling to be in.
Yeah,
I think what turned me about the difference and the challenge for me is later on down, a few weeks in, I'm in a meeting with the director and some really senior people, and I'm kind of where do I fit in here and what do I need to do? And he said, right, well, the first half day we're going to discuss fun. So I'm going, fun? Yeah, we're going to do. So we're having too much forced fun, so we need to have a bit more natural fun. So how can we get the engineers to have a bit more fun? I'm thinking, well, I've got a health and safety head on it. Oh, you're not allowed to have fun. You know what I mean? So it was interesting just to hear that actually from a senior team, they really did care about how everything was going with the engineers, with the call center staff, with different levels. That it wasn't just all about let's have work, but let's put a little bit of a twist on it. Let's think about the employees weren't just another employee, and there was a lot of investment we went into, even the local team meetings. I was amazed that we they take all the engineers out for a meal afterwards. They provided free tea and coffee. They even provided free tea and coffee to the engineers in the field by a card. They take them to Alton Towers every quarter. All these kind of things to try and we work hard, we deliver hard, but actually we do think about them. And I think that was the biggest change for me is actually, it was more than just fitting a meter or more than just getting the job done. It was, we're in this together and let's do it, but let's enjoy it while we're there, and I thought that was a real difference for me in anywhere I've kind of ever worked, to be honest.
It's nice to hear. It's I've been down to Bristol a few times actually, and it's quite the drive from Leeds, but so impressed with the office at Temple Meads, with the tree house and just looking around at some of the concept ideas that they had there as well. And it just looks like they've got such an eye for the future and almost, you mentioned the Google piece there being similar to sort of a Google mindset, but it looks like, from the outside looking in, they're almost one step ahead. Where do you see the future skills being needed? You mentioned the EV piece and the air source heat pump. What do you think the future skills that are going to be needed?
I think a lot of it is technology. I think that the practical installation is always going to be needed, whether that's a heat pump or an EV charge point. I think the skills for us are getting more technology. I think that's driving, a lot of what we do. We've got different business units that look at the technology side of how they balance power, and we've got vehicle to grid charge points, for instance, which we can monitor how they charge the car, but we can also monitor how they sort of dissipate their energy back into the grid to get money back and things like that. So there's definitely a different way energy is going to be used for the future. I don't know if you've seen some of the media reports recently of our owner, Steve Fitzpatrick. He's even invested in flying electric flying cars or flying planes.
See that,
Yeah, with the 4 propellers to make sure they're safe. You know, safety's forefront of a lot of things, but the environmental and the carbon zero and the net zero, and there's an immense kind of focus on that for our company. We really want to beat our targets in that, you know, and there is massive. I mean, even to the point was, you know, a lot of our meeting rooms are named after geniuses and scientists, and even I think we've now got a Greta Thunberg room now as well. You know what I mean? So, I mean, definitely serious within our business. We're very keen and very focused on the carbon zero kind of forefront and really trying to be ahead of the game with that. And we've won quite a lot of awards around our focus. But as for the engineer, you know, one of our key points is, you know, we're getting them into electric vehicles, electric vans, even our fleet of for the coaches, they've got electric cars and things like that. So definitely there's a massive demand for the EV side. There's a massive point of looking at, I think we've gone into our in-room displays are now looking at temperature sensors in there, and we're looking at other ways to kind of use that kind of monitoring within the customer's home so they can better monitor their own usage and their own heat and things like that. We're also looking at, you know, of how we can provide insulation, you know, obviously the electric heating, you know, how we can move some way away from the boiler, you know, get the traditional gas boiler and new technologies around that. You know, we've got a department of Corgi, you know, and they look at a lot of the installation of the heat pumps and that sort of side of the business. So that there's so many different areas, and as you turn over a stone, oh, actually that was great, because we did quite a bit of like the Dimplex storage heaters, looking at how we can monitor those as well. So we're pumping more, investing, we're doing more research, and we're really driving towards so many different ways to electrify the home as such, or electrification of the home. So, you know, there's products out there that we haven't heard of yet, if you know what I mean. So it is definitely moving out, and it's definitely, as you say, an exciting time I think it's probably the most exciting time to be in the industry now, compared to, you know, before, when it was just, you know, putting a meter and people forgot about it in the cupboard. There's so much more. Yeah. There's such a
focus for a greener future, isn't there now? And you know, I think everyone's bought into it, and just because of the pandemic, it's not gone away. You know, it's if anything, it's just heightened and needed even more because we've lost a bit of time. So I agree with you. It's a massively exciting time. And just a last question for you, James. Something I like to ask is, if you would give your younger self, one piece of advice when starting out your working career, what would it be?
I suppose don't be nervous. Just if you're given the opportunity, take it. Even if you feel you can't do it, take that opportunity. Because I think there's been a few opportunities I've had where I could have gone with it, and I could have had a really good position, or I think to say no and be nervous and step back, it's a natural reaction because it's natural in the human instinct, but it's just have a go. You know, don't just have a go, because what's the worst can happen? You know, you don't succeed, that'd be the worst case. But if my experience is anything that I've just had a go at, I do really well at, and a lot of things I wouldn't have tried before. So that would be mine. Just really just open up, be open to new ideas, put the anxiety to one side, and just go, because there's always people there that will help you through.
Yeah,
so that'll be mine.
If you can find somebody to support you, which normally, you know, with opportunities, support is normally around. And it's always helpful, isn't it? And it's been great to have you on, James. And one thing I want to say, I said it to you when you came across to the centre, actually, for the first time. I think it's a few years ago now, but and you'll probably give me the same response. But just a thank you from me for joining the podcast, but for secondly, you gave me the opportunity to join the team at the British Gas Academy. And I know it wasn't the best interview in the world, but I think you saw something in me. And honestly, I think, you know, we talk about opportunities a lot here when people are starting as apprentices or people join the team as new staff. And you did, you gave me that opportunity, and I needed to make something of it. And going back to how you described your first training experience, it was very similar for me, standing up in front of a group, knees knocking together and you just couldn't get the words out. But quite quickly I realised, well, actually, I need to know about chimneys, combustion and ventilation. So speaking's my last thing I need to worry about. But no, thank you again for giving me that opportunity, because it's a big part of, sort of where I've progressed to today. So like I said, it's been great to have you on.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me down. I'm really happy to be on. I'm glad to have, I'm sorry if I've waffled too much, but
no, it's been great. Thanks, James. Cheers.
Cheers all.
Big thanks to James for joining the podcast. I'll always thank James for taking me on as a trainer in the Leeds Academy. And it's inspiring to hear how James has progressed through his career and how he continues to support the smart metering rollout. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the podcast, and we'll catch you in the next one.